Did you find any videos from around the time of the crash at the Swan Boat Club?
We did.
And were you able to extract those from the DVR?
Yes.
Did you make copies of those portions of the recorded video?
Yes.
Did you place those into evidence?
We did.
We had an opportunity to review those recordings prior to court today.
Yes.
And the recordings that have been placed on people's proposed Exhibit 8, are those the same as the ones you extracted from that digital video recorder?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, people would move to admit People's 8 surveillance videos from the defendant's home.
Your Honor, we would reserve at this time just to see the video, hear it, and then make a decision.
I'll reserve ruling on the motion.
All right. Detective, you mentioned 4 cameras at the home. You've had an opportunity to review this exhibit, is that right?
Yes.
And what camera angles are we going to see on this video?
So specifically, you're going to see the one facing the main entry door of the residence, and then also the one on the barn, which is across the street, which gets the street and basically the driveway and a little bit of the home also.
Okay. And from around what time and what date are these recordings?
April 20th, 420, and so the timestamp on the video is going to be approximately right around 2 o'clock, like 1:57 to 2 o'clock. But in real time, that would have been 2:57 or 3 o'clock.
And Detective, your role in this investigation, do you know what time the crash at the Swan Boat Club was?
Right at 3 o'clock.
Okay. In what view is this, deputy or detective? Sorry.
So this is the camera across the street on the barn.
I went outside to walk the dog, and that's when I noticed that there was a hole in the side of the boat club, and I went to check it out.
I went to check it out. What did you do specifically?
I walked over there, and I noticed it was a pretty bad scene, so I got out my cell phone and I recorded it to get evidence for whatever the police needed. I know it's important to have those first moments. I didn't realize what I was getting into.
So you live directly next door, so you walk down the road that's the parking lot to the boat club?
Walked across my lawn.
Okay. And you entered how did you enter into the boat club?
I walked through the hole that Marshella drove through.
And you recorded this on your cell phone, you said?
I did. I started recording before I went through the hole because I wasn't sure what I was going to see. I didn't know at the time it was Marshella, my neighbor. I thought there were some other kids that drove a car similar to it. And I thought maybe it was them. And so
The record reflect the people are playing exhibit 1.
So let's back up just a little bit. Just for the record, explain what a EDR is as it relates to a vehicle.
The EDR is an event data recorder. It's known as black box, if you will. It captures information while a vehicle is in motion. If a vehicle is involved in a traffic crash, if there's airbag deployment, the information will become locked on the EDR itself. However, if a vehicle is involved in a crash where there is no airbag deployment, but it was enough motion within the vehicle to wake up the EDR, it could capture that information, but at times the information will be overwritten.
And explain what a triggering event is.
So that can incorporate many factors. If a vehicle is in motion and, for instance, a deer would jump out in front of the roadway and an operator would veer their vehicle to the left or to the right, the event data recorder, usually it's always sleeping. That will wake up the data recorder. The data recorder is basically saying to itself, something's happening here, we need to start to record. It will start to record for a little bit. However, if the vehicle continues in motion and there's no impact, the EDR will go back to sleep, basically. But when there's airbag deployment, the EDR will lock in all the information that the vehicle was doing at the time of impact.
Okay. And what kind of information does it lock in?
Braking speed, acceleration, steering, percentage of throttle, if lights were activated, seatbelt activation.
For what?
Storing, your microphone got uncentered.
This guy?
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. And for what period of time does it record these statuses of the vehicle?
Every vehicle is different. I've seen some recordings or images where it could be 10 seconds pre-impact and 5 seconds post, or 5 seconds pre and 5 seconds post. So every vehicle is different.
Foundation here, Lieutenant. Did you have an opportunity to review this case in its entirety?
I have.
And are you familiar with the real world happenings that caused the events on this EDR?
Yes.
And you indicate there's 2 events. What was the real world happening that caused the first event to be recorded?
The operator was involved in a previous traffic crash.
And do you know the nature of that?
I do.
And what was it?
It was a vehicle that was in motion in reverse that struck another vehicle.
Okay. And that's the first event that EDR imaged.
Correct.
And it also imaged a second event.
Correct.
And do you know what the real world happening was that caused that image to be locked in on the EDR?
I do.
And what was that?
A motor vehicle striking a building.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge and understanding, that building's the Swan Boat Club, right?
Correct.
So turning back to the report itself, do you have the section on throttle in front of you?
I do.
Or throttle percentage, I should say. Lieutenant, how does that, so it records back 5 seconds. Is that right?
Correct.
And then how does it give you that data?
So when the vehicle struck the building, of course, that crash was recorded. So the EDR itself can record 5 seconds prior to that event taking place. So that's the information that I've received on this document.
And then does it show you, at 5 seconds on down to the crash?
It does.
Okay. And then if you could tell the court for each, what increments of time does it record?
Half a second.
Okay. Could you review the exhibit and proffer for the court what the throttle percentage is for each of those time increments prior to the crash?
At -5 seconds, 0. -4.5 seconds, 59.3%. -4 seconds, 0. -3.5 seconds, 80.1%. 3 seconds, 82%. 2.5 seconds, 0. 2 seconds, 100%. -1.5, 0. -1.0, 97.9%. -0.5, 97.0%. And 0, which is the point of impact, is 96.6%.
So at the time, so how do you interpret that as to what throttle percentage, or what's the real world implication of that, Lieutenant? Let's just ask it that way.
From my training, anything that's 70% or higher, 70 to 100, is actually 100%.
What do you mean by that?
The gas pedals to the floor.
Okay. Does this event data recorder record braking?
It does.
Does that report have a section on braking?
It does.
And what does it report? What real world event does it show within the image?
It recorded every half of a second from 5 seconds to the point of impact.
And what does it indicate about braking? Is it a percentage? What information does it relay?
Whether or not the brakes were engaged, it's either on or off.
Okay. At any point in the 5 seconds prior to this crash, does the report reflect that the brakes were engaged?
Yes.
And if you could, Lieutenant, going through the 5 seconds, again, give us the indication time-wise whether or not the brakes were engaged in this event.
Negative 0.5 seconds off. Negative 4.5 seconds off. Negative 4 seconds off. Negative 3.5 seconds off. Negative 3 seconds off. Negative 2.5 seconds off. Negative 2 on. Negative 1.5 seconds off. Negative 1.0 seconds off. Negative 0.5 seconds off. 0 point of impact off.
Lieutenant, does this event data recorder also record speed?
It does.
Okay. First of all, I'll ask you this. You know that this, you're familiar with the scene of this crash.
I am.
And that it takes place in a parking lot. You familiar with that?
I am.
Do you know what the statutory speed limit in a parking lot is?
So looking at the video and the roadway itself, Branshaw Road actually runs between the parking lot and the building itself. So that's considered still the roadway where the vehicle was being operated on. What we have here is a private road. So with private roads, the HOA, homeowners association, or any other type of association have to have something within their deeds, an HOA agreement regarding speed. So at one time, I do recall seeing a 10 mile per hour sign, which is yellow. Now, yellow is a caution speed. Somebody, I assume, put up a 10 mile an hour speed limit that's black and white, which can be confusing with a state colored speed limit like 25 in a residential. So being that Branshaw is a private road, because it does say a private road could be 25 miles per hour, that even private or not, an operator has to operate their vehicle carefully and prudent so they can maintain control of their vehicle. So where the vehicle curves to the right prior to impact, the vehicle was still on Branshaw Road, which would be 25 miles per hour.
Statutorily 25.
Yes.
So do you have the section on speed that's contained in the event data recorder report in front of you?
I do.
And if you could just go through one last time, Lieutenant, and indicate to us what the defendant's speed was 5 seconds prior to the impact and on down.
Negative 5 seconds, 29.5 miles per hour. Negative 4.5 seconds, 29.6 miles per hour. Negative 4 seconds, 30.3 miles per hour. Negative 3.5 seconds, 30.6 miles per hour. Negative 3 seconds, 30.7 miles per hour. Negative 2.5 seconds, 31.7 miles per hour. Negative 2 seconds, 32.9 miles per hour. Negative 1.5 seconds, 35.5 miles per hour. Negative 1 second, 37.8 miles per hour. Negative 0.5 seconds, 40.9 miles per hour. 0 point of impact, 44.3 miles per hour.
Thank you.
this the breezeway you were referring to?
Yes.
Did you receive a dispatch that brought us here today
Yes, sir.
on April 20th?
Yes, sir.
What was that dispatch?
Mineral County Central Dispatch broadcasted a serious injury crash that occurred at the Swan Boat Club. They relayed that there was a car that had crashed into a building, trapping people underneath and injuring several others.
What did you do in response to this dispatch?
I was at North Dixie Highway and Interstate 75, and I responded with my lights and sirens.
Did you eventually arrive at the boat club?
Yes, sir.
What did you observe when you arrived?
It was a very a chaotic scene. There was a very large hole in the side of the building. There was multiple people laying on the ground, asking for assistance in different states of injury.
Were you the first law enforcement officer to respond?
Yes, sir.
And were any other first responders there when you arrived?
There was several fire departments that firefighters had shown up just as I arrived.
Firefighters are coming right over here. one? And can you come with me just for a second? Are you driving? You driving a car? Can you come with me just for a second? Okay? Are you looking? Okay. This one out here? Where you going? Over towards my car. You got it, hon?
Yes.
What happened?
I passed out.
Okay. Have you been feeling ill or anything like that?
Yes.
What kind of medical conditions do you have?
Seizures.
Seizures? Okay. Were you here for the party?
No.
What were you out here at the boat club for? Are you
I
here?
was just coming down here.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
So you take medications for seizure, you
Yes.
said? Have you been drinking it all today?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. When's the last time you had something to drink?
Probably like a half hour ago.
Half an hour ago. What do you drink?
Wine.
Wine? Okay. What's your name, hon? Marshella what?
Chidester.
Chidester. Okay. You don't have any weapons on you, do you?
No.
All right. I'm just gonna leave you back here just for a little bit, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you need to see any medical attention right now?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm gonna roll down this window over here just to get you some air, okay? Okay. I just want to separate her from everything that's going on. Four, five, six.
Yes, so they're on yet? We got scissors on you, Smith?
No.
I got scissors in my trunk, but
Where's your truck at? So,
We've already.
You make your statement.
good morning, Deputy. How are you employed?
I'm employed through the Monroe County Sheriff's Office as a deputy sheriff,
How long have you been in that position?
approximately 4.5 years.
Were you in any other law enforcement position prior to that?
No, sir.
Are you certified to be a peace officer in the state of Michigan?
Yes, sir.
And you were on April 20th?
Yes, sir.
You were working on April 20th as a deputy?
Yes, sir.
And did something bring you to the Swan Boat Club?
A call came in through Monroe County Central Dispatch, and I responded to it.
And do you know approximately the time you arrived at the scene?
No, sir.
Can you describe the scene when you arrived?
When I arrived, there was multiple EMS and fire personnel already on scene, as well as my supervisor, Sergeant Bomia, and Deputy Schmidt. And then when I responded into the venue, there was chaos. There were still people being treated and pulled out of the building.
Did you meet any individuals that had been injured on that date?
Yes, when I first walked in, I responded to Denise Roberts, as well as Patricia Raths, and then I also observed Leah Sith and Diane Medina.
Are you issued a body-worn camera?
Yes, sir.
Were you wearing it on that day?
Yes, sir.
Was it in good working order to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Did you have an opportunity to review that video?
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of what you witnessed?
Yes.
Judge, I would move to admit what is proposed Exhibit 4, a compilation of the deputy's body-worn camera.
I'll object at this time.
On the floor, these guys are talking about. I just got one pediatric back there. I don't even know. She's 18. Yeah. She's 11.
Is there anybody? I got this series of information, I'm just trying to get on getting more information, and like this, and all of that. Nope, just try to stay out of the way of everybody and help where you can.
She's not the most critical. I've attended to all three of them.
She's allergic to amoxicillin. You're welcome. Are you related?
I'm right behind you. I'm assuming she was operating.
We start doing this. You need help with stuff? I think they want to leave her for right now, just because.
I don't know if it's attached anywhere. Here we go.
It should. Let me put, oh, no, that's not heavy enough. Okay. All right. Ma'am, I'm gonna get, were you in here when it happened? No, did you witness it at all? Okay.
Her name's Diane. Medina.
Medina?
No.
Does it hurt pretty much everywhere right now? My lower back down. Okay. Just try to take some deep breaths, okay? As deep breaths as you can. Yep. As deep breaths as you can. Well, they're getting this guy, and then you're coming up next.
Try to move your hips, babe. Okay?
Okay. They gotta get her on them. These, they were, right in front, so we'll keep her right there. Need help back there, good? Okay. Sir, has anybody got your information yet?
No.
Will you witness the crash?
I was in the bar, I just heard it and came in to try to help out, so, but I didn't see when it actually happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
Needed attending to.
At some point, did you interact with the defendant?
I did.
And did you administer field sobriety tests?
I did.
What test did you administer?
The first test I administered was a horizontal gaze nystagmus.
And what were the results of that test?
I was not able to complete that test.
Why is that?
The defendant could not focus on my finger, which was the stimulus for the test, so I wasn't able to complete it after multiple times.
Is that a sign of intoxication?
It could be.
What other test did you administer?
I administered counting backwards from a number to another number of my choosing.
What were the results of that test?
She was not able to complete that test. She miscounted.
Did you do any other tests on the defendant?
Objection, Your Honor, how did she miscount?
If you could describe how she had miscounted.
The counting started from 100 and went down to 88.
she started with 100 and then counted down to 90, and then she had some miscountings in there. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear him. He wasn't sure. Is that what you said,
You
sir?
said that there were miscountings.
Yeah, there were miscountings after the number 90.
And did you say what they were?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Did you administer any other sobriety tests?
I did.
What else did you administer?
The alphabet. I asked her to recite the alphabet A through Z without singing.
And what was the result of that?
She was able to pass that test and complete that test.
The horizontal gaze nystagmus, is that one of the standardized tests?
It is.
How many standardized field sobriety tests are there?
3.
Did you administer any of the other standardized field sobriety tests?
I did not.
Why is that, Deputy?
Due to her physical condition at the time, when I was able to speak with her and get her out of the back of the vehicle, she advised me that she had neuropathy in her hands and feet. The other 2 tests that are standardized are physical tests, the walk and turn and the one leg stand. I felt that by putting her through those tests, it could put herself in harm by potentially falling or.
Can you tell me you recognize that document?
Yes,
What is it?
it is the laboratory report from the crime lab.
And can you please read the results of the report, please?
So item number 1 that was tested was her blood, which came back to a 0.18 grams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood.
Deputy, do you know the legal limit for operating while intoxicated in the state of Michigan?
0.08.
And do you know the legal limit for operating with a high blood alcohol content in the state of Michigan?
0.17.
Thank you, Judge. Or thank you, Deputy. I'll take that from you. Did you receive another lab report, Deputy?
I did.
I'm going to show you what is marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 7, Judge. We will also be requesting this be admitted under 76.11B.
Your Honor, same objection as previously. I'd like to take a look at the exhibit.
Thanks first.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Deputy.
Objection is overruled if you self-authenticating document.
Thank you, Judge. It is admitted.
It isn't.
Thank you. Judge, Deputy, this is Exhibit 7. Did you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It is the supplemental lab report that came back from the crime lab.
And can you please tell me what the results of that report are?
The crime lab detected gabapentin in her system.
Does it provide a level or it just indicates gabapentin?
It says 1.3 UG per milliliter. I don't know what UG stands for.
Understood. Thank you. Properly proposed Exhibit 5 at this point, Judge.
Exhibit 5 is one.
Okay. Going around here?
No, not really. I pulled into the parking lot and I thought I was driving up to the boat club and evidently I was driving right to the pavilion.
Which direction did you drive from?
I live right down the street.
Okay, so you were coming from that way?
Yes.
This way? When you got to the parking lot, what happened?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you think there's a reason you don't remember? Did something happen or?
You know what? I have these seizures and
Okay. Do you have anything where it says like maybe that, does your doctor permit you to drive and everything?
I'm cleared to drive now and I don't have my purse with me, but I do have a card in my purse.
Okay. When's the last time you had a seizure that you know of?
March.
In March?
Yeah.
Okay. So in March is the last time you remember that you had a seizure.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this. Were you hospitalized for it?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have like at home or something?
No, I was in Monroe for 4 days and Toledo for 6 days.
I'm sorry, did you have your seizure while you were at home? Or did you have it
I had it at home and then I did have one when I was in the hospital.
when you were in the hospital? Okay. And March is going to be the last time you had that seizure? do you think, is your normal behavior when you have a seizure, is it, have lapses of memory? Do you,
Yes,
like that? Okay. So once you got to the parking lot, you don't remember anything?
I don't.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have for you now. Deputy Schmidt's gonna take me over from here, okay? Is there, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being like you're stone cold sober, you can drive perfectly, 10 being you're passed out drunk, where do you think you're at right now?
7.
A 7? Okay. Do you think you're okay to drive?
I wouldn't want to drive.
You wouldn't let you drive?
No.
Okay. Okay, just give me 1 second, okay? Sorry, my phone's ringing. I think it's gonna be my boss.
Okay.
I apologize.
Judge, that's the end.